And with that said, the storyline should be a little more interesting than usual. And for that, we bring in a man who somewhat resembles the most interesting man in the world. CBS college basketball insider Chip Patterson. 4 teams seeded 11 or worse are still alive. What do you make of all this March Madness, Chip?
Well, for Oral Roberts, I mean, that's one that stands out unique to the other double-digit seeds because we've got a UCLA that's a national championship team, a national program with tons of national championships. Syracuse, Jim Boeheim, Hall of Famer. Jim Boeheim has a national championship at Syracuse. So Oral Roberts being able to become just the second 15th seed to make it to the Sweet 16, that is a unique story unlike anything else. But there is a fascinating double-digit seed that we left out right there, which is Oregon State at the 12, because there has been nothing, Todd, that Oregon State did during this regular season that would suggest that it was going to wind up in the Sweet 16. There has been very little that Oregon State has done this season that suggests that the Beavers were even going to make the NCAA tournament. But you catch lightning in a bottle. You've got a team that buys in. This is a group that has just continued to win a win or go home scenario every single night. I mean, the entire Pac-12 tournament, as soon as you take a loss, that's it. Your season's probably done. They go through, they win the Pac-12 tournament, and then here, as we've seen, making it to the Sweet 16, the same stakes for them. Oregon State's been playing elimination games, season-ending potential games for longer than anybody else. So Oral Roberts is the best story. Oregon State's the most unique, and UCLA and Syracuse. I'm not dismissing you, but I mean, come on. I mean, does it really feel Cinderella when it's UCLA and Syracuse?
No, it does not. But of the double-digit seeds remaining, which one do you think has the best chance to not only reach the Elite Eight, but to go all the way to the Final Four?
Syracuse, and it's because UCLA right now has gotten great play out of Johnny Juzang. I don't know how he's somehow been able to like really transcend himself, but the Orange, they're on a heater, man. And it's not just the fact that that 2-3 zone, which, by the way, during the season wasn't great. You know, if you look at the defensive efficiency numbers, they kind of dropped off and weren't necessarily stymieing opponents like we're used to with the 2-3 zone. The reason why Syracuse made it to the NCAA tournament was because of its offense, and Buddy Boeheim's on a heater. I mean, Joe Girard's given us the kind of performance that we hadn't had much of the season. You know, Kadary Richmond is out there playing hurt. This is an Orange team that has really been able to cobble it together offensively to play at a high level. So comparing Syracuse and UCLA, the two teams that are most likely to be a double-digit team to make it all the way to the Final Four, I'm going to go with Jim Boeheim and his own NCAA tournament experience. I'm going to go with Buddy Boeheim, who has just been absolutely filling it up, aka Buddy Buckets. Then I would go with the Orange because of all those teams, you know, the UCLA, the Oregon State, the Syracuse, and yes, the Oral Roberts. Syracuse has the talent, and also the edge on the Bruins is that offensive efficiency.
Jim Buddy, baby. All right, there are winners and losers in every tournament, but rarely has there been a bigger loser than the Big Ten, which has seen 8 of their 9 teams ousted already. What happened to this conference?
I'll tell you what, the thing that really hurts for the Big Ten is who got knocked out, because we see conferences sometimes end up with 6 out of 7, almost all your teams get knocked out, bad headlines around this. But the reason that it's different with the Big Ten is because who they were, what seed they were, and the expectation based on that seed. So Michigan, obviously, on to the Sweet 16. Illinois, as the #1 seed, Final Four pick for most. You go down in the round of 32, that's going to stand out. Iowa, Ohio State, based on being a 2 seed, we expect you at a minimum to make the Sweet 16, if not the Elite 8. For both of those teams to be bounced, that is surprising. Purdue at the 4 line, that's the other one where, yes, as a 4 seed, based on seed expectation, you're going to be able to make it out of the first weekend. And so the total number of losses or the total record for the Big Ten isn't what stands out to me and isn't what's so disappointing. It's the fact that you've had a 1, 2 2s, and a 4 all bounced after a whopping 9 teams made the NCAA tournament. I wasn't expecting Maryland or Rutgers to be able to go on a deep run and make the NCAA and make the Sweet 16. But when we are having a Sweet 16 without, again, a 1, 2 2s, and a 4, all from the Big Ten, you're just going to go back and you're going to say this is a conference that underperformed its regular season expectations. Like, this is a conference that wasn't overrated. It was rightly rated, but it underperformed. Again, not overrated, it just underperformed. And if you ask me, that hurts even worse.
Underperformed, you say. Some say basketball catastrophe. But let's keep our eye on Loyola Chicago, who are 15-5 all-time in the NCAA tournament, tied with Duke for the best winning percentage ever. They're a 6.5-point favorite over Oregon State. How do you like their chances, Chip, of making it to yet another Final Four?
Oh, this is absolutely something that Loyola can do, especially with the Oregon State draw. And then you go and you look at the Syracuse and Houston. I believe that the key to Loyola being able to be in this spot, and the reason why I think there's good chances of making the Final Four, is because of the experience that Cameron Krutwig had when he was a freshman for that last Final Four run. Now, I was there at the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 in Atlanta with this Loyola team in the locker room, speaking to then freshman Cameron Krutwig, and he had a lot of maturity beyond his years. He was soaking up the experience, and I think that everything that we've seen from him, as he's the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year, that's like the Larry Bird Trophy winner. Shout out to Indiana State. I just think that he is a real leader who understands what it takes to be able to make it all the way to the Final Four. I like Loyola to beat Oregon State, and I definitely think that they would have a very good chance against either Syracuse or Houston in the Elite 8. It's one of those situations, Todd, where you take down that high seed, the same thing with Oral Roberts from the 15 line, and then all of a sudden, all the rest of the games in the region are easier, at least based on seed. If you beat the #1 team in the region, then every other game should be a little bit easier. And with a 12, an 11, and then that 2 left, then yeah, whoever they play, it won't be as tough as playing Illinois.
Well, hey, all systems are still a go for #1 overall seed Gonzaga, who's chasing history as they pursue a perfect season. From what you've seen so far, how do you like their chances to get it done?
They've got great chances to get it done. You know, whether or not I pick it or not, I'm sure we'll get to that a little bit and several times over the next several weeks here on CBS Sports HQ. But everything looks okay right now. Everything seems to be checking out. And one of the things that I looked at coming into this was whether Jalen Suggs, the Gonzaga freshman, was going to have a Carmelo Anthony-like run, where as he stepped into this Gonzaga team, he is the most highly talented player on this Gonzaga team. He is going to be the highest NBA draft pick coming off of this Gonzaga team, but he has allowed himself to be a little bit more of a piece on this Gonzaga team. You know, Jalen Suggs is going to allow a Drew Timme, who's got a little bit more experience, to lead the way, or a Corey Kispert. But I was imagining that if push comes to shove and Gonzaga actually gets challenged, Suggs is the guy who needs to have the ball in his hands. And that's kind of what we saw against BYU. But again, I'm painting all these scenarios where Gonzaga gets pushed, where Gonzaga gets tested, where the game is close in the last 3 minutes. They've won 25 straight games by double digits. That's stupid. 25 games by double digits. They're checking all the boxes. They're still looking great. Absolutely a very smart pick to win the national championship if you're going to make it.
Well, you didn't make it. I want to hear right now. Give it to us. Who wins the whole thing?
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Whoa.
I absolutely love the way that this team plays basketball. And what we saw against Maryland was the kind of firepower that makes me buy into the Nate Oates Crimson Tide style. He has made the two-pointer poison. We either want to shoot threes or we want to make plays at the rim. We want to defend at a high level, and we want to play at a ridiculous pace. And it is a situation where if those threes are going down, you're not going to be able to keep up. You just are not going to be able to score enough. And if those threes are going down, that's the reason why I'm picking Alabama over Gonzaga in my Final Four, because I think that that's the kind of thing that can break the Crimson Tide's way. That can allow them to be able to keep up with Gonzaga, because you can't stop a team that's shooting 33s if they make 16 of them. It's not going to happen. They're going to have those 48 points of three-pointers, and it's going to be a massive advantage. Now, if they go cold, they could get bounced. Could be as early as the Sweet 16, but they were my national championship pick coming into the NCAA tournament, and especially coming off that last result against Maryland. I'm feeling really good because that was the form of basketball that I imagined when I said this team can win it.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.